When CNN's Kaitlan throws a loaded question, Lee Zeldin fires back with precision. From calling out Stacey Abrams' shady dealings to shutting down third-party fantasies and praising Elon Musk's impact, this is political chess at its finest. A sharp, fiery takedown you don't want to miss.
This is, I think, the first cabinet meeting since Elon Musk has not been a special government employee, not here anymore. He's now saying he's going to create a third political party. Are you worried about the impact that could have?
No, I think it'll help us. It'll probably help. Third parties have always been good for me. I don't know about Republicans, but for me.
Are you second guessing any of the cuts that Doge made? Since you described it as off the rails?
Look, we cut hundreds of billions of dollars with Doge. We could have done it differently. I would have done it differently a little bit, maybe, but it was something that we saved a lot of money. You can always second guess. I guess some of the people in this room maybe would have done it slightly differently, and some would have done it exactly the way it was done. But it was dramatic and it was important, and we found a lot of things like billions of dollars given to people for environmental protection where they had $100 in the account, like in Atlanta, Stacey. And then you had another one with 20 billion here, 20 billion here, and 2 billion here, and 15 billion. And Lee, you might want to mention just a couple of those things. We really got because of those.
At the Trump EPA, the one big beautiful bill was filled with many big beautiful wins for the taxpayer. It delivered a sledgehammer to the Green New scam. Billions of dollars rescinded. So it's a big deal for the American taxpayer who sees money go through pass-throughs that are filled with self-dealing and conflicts of interest. They see unqualified recipients. They see reduced agency oversight, and they want accountability with their tax dollars, and they got it. So in the example of the Stacey Abrams connected NGO, they received $100 in 2023. They got $2 billion in 2024. They had to complete training on how to develop a budget that was put into their grant agreement. They, out of nowhere, started paying a CEO $800,000, a COO $450,000, 22 people making over $150,000. Out of nowhere, this is tax dollars. So money go through pass-throughs, through other pass-throughs, through other pass-throughs, and we lose oversight over it. And you see that it's going to former Biden officials, it's going to former Obama officials, it's going to Democratic donors. And we're not here saying we want to take money from a left-wing NGO and give it to a right-wing NGO. We want to give it back to the taxpayer. This is about us being good stewards of American tax dollars without any apology or regret. That's why President Trump was elected last November. Because there are a whole lot of people who maybe they hadn't voted Republican in a long time. Maybe they didn't even vote for President Trump the first time around in 2016, but they're regretting that vote from 2016 and they were making it right in 2024. So the One Big Beautiful Bill gave us the tools to rescind billions of dollars more. We're seeing hundreds of thousands of dollars that'll get wasted per electric vehicle as an example of this money that was going through it. They gave $50 million to a group called Climate Justice Alliance. They say that climate justice runs through a free Palestine. The Biden EPA gave $50 million to a group that says that climate justice runs through a free Palestine. We say that if you're going to spend $1 in the name of remediating an environmental issue, then spend $1 on remediating an environmental issue. We say that we can protect the environment and grow the economy. We want to help grow more baseload power in this country. So why is it that it took this long for this team to get assembled, to be able to fix the mess that we inherited? But gosh, we love showing up at our jobs every single day, first thing in the morning, because all day long we get things done for the American taxpayer. And Congress did its part last week by passing One Big Beautiful Bill to deliver this accountability and to cut off the Green New scam. So maybe it's a bad day for Stacey Abrams. Maybe it's a bad day for all those well-connected Democrats getting paid off. But you know what? God bless America. Because at the end of the day, President Trump is here, J.D. Vance is here, and the greatest cabinet ever assembled to deliver that much-needed and highly demanded accountability.
Mr. President, on Ukraine.
That was a very good.
Stacey Abrams may no longer be politically relevant, yet she's still catching heat from this administration. And frankly, there might not be anyone in Georgia politics who deserves it more. Recently, she's been linked to some questionable activity, including a situation where an organization she founded, one that reportedly couldn't even manage its own finances, ran a small trial program to change how people access appliances in a small town. That same organization then mysteriously received a $2 billion boost from the Biden administration. This all comes in the context of a high-profile meeting back in mid-2020, where Joe Biden seriously considered Abrams as his running mate. Imagine that. If things had gone differently, we might have been dealing with Stacey Abrams instead of Kamala Harris, and politically speaking, she might have been even harder to beat. Stacey Abrams may be skilled at rhetoric, but when it comes to operating behind closed doors, she falls short. Speaking as someone who was actively involved in efforts to prevent her from winning the 2018 gubernatorial race, and as a proud Georgia native, I had strong reasons for not wanting her in office. Ultimately, she lost for a variety of reasons, not least of which was alienating members of her own party. She reportedly went behind the backs of fellow Democrats in Georgia to elevate her personal profile, a move I simply can't respect. And while we're on the subject of broken systems, guess what? The system isn't broken, it was built this way. Central banks, surveillance currencies, social credit scores, it's like the feds want complete control. The final phase? Going fully cashless. That's why owning physical silver, not ETFs or crypto, might be your best hedge. It's untrackable, resistant to inflation, and vital in everything from tech to medicine. But more than that, silver represents freedom. Every ounce you own is a quiet rebellion, no passwords, no blackouts, just sovereignty. The same governments that claim owning gold is outdated are quietly hoarding it by the ton. So ask yourself why. Physical gold and real silver aren't just old-school investments. In today's climate, they're acts of resistance. That's why we've partnered with Goldco, a company that supports this channel and offers resources to help you learn more about owning precious metals. You may even qualify for free silver. Just visit politgold.com for more info. That's politgold.com. Now back to Stacey Abrams. There are plenty of Democrats in Georgia I'd have been happy to work with if I were in the legislature, but Stacey Abrams wasn't one of them. She was a terrible candidate and, frankly, not a good person. So, the fact that she's still catching strays is both hilarious and completely deserved. What makes it worse is the growing suspicion around an organization she helped launch, one that somehow landed a massive government grant for a minor project, raising serious concerns about corruption. And this isn't a one-off. Abrams has a track record. In fact, a nonprofit she founded was recently fined $300,000 for violating campaign finance laws related to its support of Democratic candidates during the 2018 Georgia governor's race. In other words, Stacey Abrams allowed her own organization to fail in properly registering, resulting in a hefty fine, and it's not the first sign of shady behavior from her. She has a history of corruption, and frankly, the Democratic Party has a long record of similar issues. The recent shutdown of USAID only confirmed what many so-called conspiracy theorists had been saying all along, that a lot of these operations are not just ethically questionable, but also serve as elaborate money laundering schemes. So, no, it's not surprising that Abrams is still catching strays. She absolutely deserves it. Meanwhile, in a recent video, Donald Trump and Lee Zeldin did a brilliant job tag-teaming the narrative and addressing the broader dysfunction, including the quiet departure of a major figure, Elon Musk, from Trump's circle. Musk, now on shaky terms with the Trump camp, is even floating the idea of launching his own third party. Bless his heart, but history is not on his side. Third parties in America just don't work. Ask Ross Perot, ask William Jennings Bryan, and you'll get the same answer. Henry Clay may not have run as a third-party candidate, but he did run for president 3 times and failed each time, despite the fact that he likely would have made a decent president. The lesson stands: third parties in American politics rarely succeed. They're often born out of frustration, a kind of political tantrum. I didn't get my way, so I'm taking my ball and going home. Instead of dwelling on Elon Musk's fallout with the Trump camp or his flirtation with a third party, Trump and Lee Zeldin smartly pivot the conversation. They focus on Musk's contributions, particularly through his work with Dogecoin and how it has benefited the average American. And once Lee Zeldin dives in, he absolutely crushes it, delivering a blistering, well-earned takedown of federal corruption. We're now learning that the rot in Washington is far worse than many imagined. Layers of money laundering, bloated bureaucracy, and massive waste. Even with a decent imagination, it's shocking just how bad it truly is. That's why Elon Musk's brief, but impactful push for a Department of Government Efficiency was so valuable. He managed to eliminate billions in waste and redirect funds toward real, useful efforts. Because let's be honest, we've got a massive budget crisis in DC, and it's only getting worse as spending keeps spiraling upward with no accountability. The big, beautiful bill made a real impact, and while some skepticism is understandable, the facts speak for themselves. With the growing financial burden of Social Security, Medicare, and the rising interest payments attached to these programs, running deficits has almost become inevitable. That's why we need to consider two critical paths: expanding the economy and trimming government excess. And under the current leadership, the mindset is, why not both? Elon Musk, for all the controversy, delivered results, streamlining operations and slashing wasteful spending. That's the core message of this video. Meanwhile, Kaitlan Collins is practically begging for a soundbite, clinging to relevance, but instead of getting the clip she hoped for, she's handed a serious, well-structured answer that throws water on the usual media theatrics. Republicans have clearly learned how to handle the mainstream press, and Lee Zeldin delivers a masterclass, leaning in and launching a response straight over the metaphorical center field fence. It's the kind of moment that gets you fired up like a preview to the All-Star game. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Until next time, you'll take care.